Hey everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Desh, and in the previous video we had seen how a row context works in case of a sumx function. Now there is this another confusion that goes in my mind wherein I felt that okay, sumx uses row context, averagex uses row context, then filter function must be using filter context, which is not true. The filter function also uses row context. And then when we talk about the context transition that happens in case of calculate, that is totally different. That filter context is different from the filter function that we use in DAX. And how a row context works in case of DAX and how it returns a table is what we're going to see in this particular video. So let's get started with the Excel sheet that I've created. So similar to the sales table that I've used during the explanation for sumx function, the row context in case of a sumx function, I'm using the same sales table. So let's quickly take a look at the measure that we are trying to create here. We want to calculate the sum of units sold for the product which are quantum laptop. So if I look at this table and this product, I see quantum laptop here, and also I guess at the bottom. So there are three instances where I'm seeing the quantum laptop. Now again, a filter function doesn't return you a scalar value, it returns you a table. So what we are trying to do here is the filter function will filter down this table to only give me the rows corresponding to quantum laptop as a product, over which the calculate function is going to calculate the sum of units sold, which is this particular column. Now just take a look at the notes that I've mentioned in case of a filter function, that the filter sales function iterates over each row and checks if the product is quantum laptop. Secondly, for rows that return true, they form a filtered table. And we are going to see how this works. Now, the third and fourth points I've just mentioned here, but right now we are not going to touch them because it just mentions that calculate changes filter context to this filter table and evaluate sum of units sold on it. Right now, we are not going to touch that, what filter context is. We just want to focus on the filter function and row context used by the filter function. So yeah, because like I mentioned, the last point it says filter is row by row evaluation, whereas calculate uses filter context. These two are completely different things. I myself asked you to not pay attention to the third and fourth line, and I am also telling you to pay attention to the fourth line and see that it's telling you that filter function is different and filter context is different. But again, let's come back to the problem. Now I have this particular filter function which is going to iterate row by row and check if the product is quantum laptop. Now how that's going to work is what I'm going to use Excel to demonstrate that. So like we have the if function in DAX, we also have that in Excel. And if I write if this particular product is, let's say, quantum laptop, then I'm gonna say yes, a summit, add it. Summit is also like summit, summit the mountain, summit the peak. A very bad joke. Or if you don't want to summit, no, ignore it. Ignore summit. We are doing quite a lot. Uh, so essentially what this would do is when the condition is written as true, I would see submit in here, yes submit, or I would see no ignore it in this row. So let's check that. I'll hit enter. Okay, I'll hit enter. Okay, that is gone somehow. I'll have to retype it. I'm sorry for that. I'll do this quickly this time. No jokes this time. If this is equal to quantum laptop, then okay, just bear with me. Trying yes, some hit, and in case doesn't, then no, ignore it. I'm closing the bracket, closing the ports, not the bracket. Hopefully this works this time. Yes, it works. So yes, submit, and for others, it should say no, ignore it. Now, this is what's happening. The filter function is going row by row in its iterations over each row and then checking if this condition is true, which is if the product is quantum laptop, then it says yes, submit. Otherwise, it says no, ignore it, no, ignore it, no, ignore it. Eventually, yes, submit. Final iteration, yes, submit. Now, once it has all of this sorted, then it will just present this filtered table, which will have quantum laptop. So this will be the filtered table. I'll just uh, make this cell. I'll just highlight these two cells. Yeah. So whatever returns to be true is going to be fed to the calculate function in order to calculate the sum of units sold. So this is how a filter function works. It with using a row context. So this is row context in case of a filter function wherein it iterated row by row, checked if the condition is true. If the condition is true, it stored that value. Once its all iterations were done, it took that table where the condition turned out to be true, and then it fed to whatever function was being used. It would be calculate, calculate table, sum x, average x, mean, average, whatever. So that's what filter function is. That's what row context is in case of a filter function. A filter function is not filter context. A filter function uses row context. And that's what I wanted to explain in this particular video. I hope you learned something new from this video. I hope it added value to your knowledge. And if it did, please share it with your friends. And if there is anything that you would want me to improve in my delivery, please leave your feedback in the comments. Until then, thanks for watching and happy learning.